key stakeholders, including AGI, labor, and the trading community, we expect to announce critical measures in this regard. This will complement that ongoing private sector-led interventions being promoted under the 1D1F and the Ghana Cares programs. However, the world had no playbook to help us tackle the COVID-19 pandemic. Parts of the Ghanaian economy were shut down, including hotels, restaurants, and events places. Our efforts were further destabilized by the disturbance in the global supply chain. But even in those times, Mr. Co-Chairs, we provided electricity and water free, grants and loans to businesses in the formal and informal sectors. We also paid our workers, even when some were home for 9 months, and did not lay off anyone. The country has been saved from the disruptions in supply chains, record hikes in prices of energy, food, and commodities. Every economy is facing macro fiscal challenges, rises in public debt levels, and narrowing fiscal space. Our situation was not helped by a combination of historic weaknesses in the structure of our import-dependent economy and our low capacity, even as compared to our neighbors, in raising domestic revenues. The 2023 budget will contain policies directly aimed at tackling these vulnerabilities. Honorable Co-Chairs, I am aware of the enormity of the challenges we face. I am aware that lives and livelihoods need to be protected. We have a well-consulted plan and the commitment to address this economic challenge. The Ministry of Finance and I have been working hard 24/7 to quickly restore market confidence and ensure economic growth. We are nearly through the IMF negotiations. I am confident that once we conclude our debt sustainability program and secure a fund program, the nation will next year see the stability and fiscal space that can spur us back onto a sustainable economic recovery and growth. We should endure, considering on the investments we have made in all sectors. Mr. Chairman, I'll be concluding soon. Co-chairs, as a child, I was taught a hymn that has guided me throughout my life. Land of our birth, we pledge to thee our love and toil in the years to be. When we are grown and take our place
is that in one
as
of
men
the Roman
and women,
which Mr. was the Methodism books? Mr. Minister.
This will be Methodism. Honorable Damboche would.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I've seen him hanging around here. He's very good at those. Mr. Boche, which one is that? Methodist hymn book.
When we are grown and take our place as men and women of our race, land of our birth, our faith, our pride, for whose dear sake our fathers died, O motherland, we pledge to thee head, heart, and hand through the years to be. Inspired by these words of this hymn, co-chairs, when I assumed the position of Minister of Finance, I resolved to serve the people of Ghana with my all. Under my tenure as Minister of Finance, I have overseen some great strides in the development of Ghana and the improvement of the lives of the Ghanaian people. As a nation, we are being tested. Our circumstances require a united and concerted response to the crisis. I employ our chiefs, elders, and church leaders to take the mantle and speak a common language. Let us all work as one country to support our labor negotiations, find a solution to the impasse in Parliament, and rise above witch hunting and entrapment. These are not ennobling and progressive for a society seeking transformation. Honorable co-chairs, Ghana is a resilient country. Ghana has faced economic challenges since independence. Ghana has always come through each of them stronger and better than before. God willing, we shall come out of these difficult times too. Ghana will and must rise again. Thank you, co-chairs. God bless our country.
Thank you very much, Honorable Finance Minister. But do I look like a witch? That's just by the way.
I was, Co-Chair, I was not aware that you've been. I was not aware that.
Or maybe I look like the hunter.
I was not aware that you've been hunting, actually. So. Thank you very much, sir.
Sorry. Before, yes, go on.
Co-Chair, thank you for the opportunity.
You already, sorry, wait a minute.
Yes.
Where the documents that, Mr. Minister.
Exactly.
Mr. Minister, you propose to tender some.
Yes.
Yes. Can we have them with the clerk? Yes, and then, oh, that's the point we're going to make. Oh, okay, that's fine. Mr. Minister.
Mr. Clerk, if you can get your people to run copies quickly, if it is possible.
Mr. Minister, are you okay? All right. Okay. Yes, we will start with a few questions. Very few questions. We'll come back to questioning, but we ourselves will ask one or two, and then. Okay, he says you will let me, and then we'll get the members, and then you would take it from there. Not many of them. When the chief Inquisitor in Chief, no, I'm wrong. The chief proponent, Atta appeared before us. It took us through quite a lot of documentation. One of them being the Physical Responsibility Act 2018, Act 980. He was wondering if I was thinking of a certain sequence. You are capable of answering the questions any way I put them, so I deal with the ones that I want to deal with. Yes, sir. So, Fiscal Responsibility Act. And then he suggested to us that you violated violently some of its provisions. But I've since been looking at the Act, and I think you seem to have confirmed that it could not be applicable to the year 2018. Is that right? Because you look at the Act and it looks like the President assented to it on the 28th of December 2018. Could it possibly be applicable to the year 2018 that he discussed? There's quite a lot of discussion of it on page 36 of our bound volume of the transcript. What do you say about that?
Thank you very much, Mr. Co-Chair. I think the Act was passed by Parliament and assented to by the President December 2018. And as you know, our laws do not have retrospective effect, and so yeah, truly, it shouldn't be applicable to numbers that occurred in 2018 and 2019. And then in 2020,
Honorable Minister, with all due respect, if the Act was passed in 2018, it will have prospective effect, and 2019 will become it, unless it was suspended. No, he said 2019. No, he said 2019.
I'm talking about the 2019 budget, which was read before.
2019 budget was passed in December 2018.
That's correct. Fantastic.
Very much. Okay.
Thank you.
So would it apply to both budget, the 2018 budget, 2019 budget would be applicable?
And in 2020, we came especially to the House to set it aside. So.
Yes, okay. And there's also a matter that I bring to your attention that you shouldn't really worry about. I see that Ato Forson Honorable suggested that as soon as you exceed the 5 percentage point by the 1 percentage point, he says the provisions of Article 82 must be triggered. I've since seen the act. It doesn't look like that's what the section says. Section 4 says votes of censure, and it says Parliament may. The directive, not the mandatory shall. So I'm not sure we should worry our heads much about that. Because I said I am missing my things, I'm not in any particular order. As a matter that I also want you to address for my comprehension. In course of your deliberation, you did state that Bank of Ghana, the Governor of Bank of Ghana, for that matter, the institution, has got quite a lot to do by way of currency and the physical state of the country. I've taken the trouble to look at Article 1A3. Incidentally, I think you did mention it, 1A3, and it would appear that the responsibility for maintaining the stability of the currency actually rests on the Governor of Bank of Ghana. Is that the case?
This is a leading question.
Mr. Co-Chair, not sure it's a leading question. I did mention it in my deliberation.
Whether it's leading or not, we will discuss this here. If he thinks he can overrule me, we will deal with it over here. So don't worry about that. Yes. So what is that the case?
I mean, essentially, the Bank of Ghana, of course, as it states, shall promote and maintain the stability of the currency of Ghana and direct and regulate the currency system in the interest of the economic progress. As such, the Bank of Ghana manages our reserves, leading to interventions to contain. Mr. Co-Chair, I don't think that's an issue. The Ministry of Finance and Bank of Ghana work in close collaboration, and as they use their various tools and instruments to stabilize the city, we also support rail sector growth as we look to encourage more exports and find means of bringing in foreign exchange such as Eurobond issuances, etc., so that we maintain. So we do share some of those responsibilities, but as per the Act, as you said, it is their
well, but that is the point, so I found it pretty curious, because if I'm reading the Constitution, it's not really act of interpretation at all. It's a prose. The Bank of Ghana, its governor, shall promote and maintain the stability of the currency of the country and regulate the currency, the interests of economic progress of the country. I'm wondering whether you think it might be self-serving, but if you think so, fine. If you don't think so, it's fair for the Minister of Finance rather to be called upon to really explain by way of how it's alleged that he has been reckless in doing the job which by the Constitution some other institution is supposed to be undertaking. I mean, if you have a view, it may be self-serving, but
Mr. Co-Chair, I think that really may be part of the worrying aspect of being censured at this moment, when through a little bit of discussion you struck out grounds 1, a little bit more discussion you struck out grounds 3, and now fundamentally you are asking about the responsibility for the CD, and to censure a finance minister for the first time in the history of this country. I think we can't make such mistakes.
I will discuss with my colleagues if it will be right for us to get the Governor of Bank of Ghana before this committee. But that's a matter that we will think about later. I can hear you.
Mr. Chairman, I say based on his assertion, we may probably have to.
We may probably have to get the Governor of Bank. That's right. So yeah.
I beg to differ.
to differ.
I beg to
Well, it's not a debate. It's a debate time hasn't started.
The governor of the Bank of Ghana has not been brought before us. So
this is for our
Minister of Finance.
This is for our subsequent discussion. So
Okay,
yeah,
right.
we'll start the,
Sorry.
colleagues. This is for our subsequent discussion. So we can't be shouting across. Let's drop it. Mr. Minister, yes, I also heard you talk about the energy sector debts, which has bedeviled this economy. Number one, would you be kind enough to tell us a little bit more about the genesis of this debt before you go into the volumes of money that we're talking about?
Mr. Co-Chair, essentially, we went into a period in which there was need for power to avert then our doomsday situation, which resulted in a number of IPPs and PPAs being agreed to with excess capacity, in a sense, more than what we needed. I'll admit that the country has now grown, and we are increasing the use of these megawatts that were installed. However, the nature of the contracts were such that they were take-or-pay contracts, which enjoined us to continue to pay for certain capacities, whether we use them or not. Whatever the circumstances are, we essentially inherited a situation where we then ended up paying maybe close to $1 billion a year of charges and power that we did not use. That then put serious strains on the economy and continues to today. Over the past 2 years, however, we have gone into very collaborative discussions with these IPPs, and I think we're on the threshold of securing agreements of 5 of them, which will save the country about $4 billion in the next coming years. So not getting into judgments as to why the issue is what we have had to pay over that period, and what fortunately we are going to be able to negotiate to save that amount of money.
You don't have to be judgmental, but for me it is fundamental to the issues under discussion. Do you say that you inherited this colossal debt?
Mr. Chairman, it has not helped with regards to the borrowings that we have to do, or the pressure on the fiscal space as we try to meet these. And we have been able to do that through managing the revenues we have, through our borrowings, etc., and through renegotiations. Mr. Chairman, Co-Chair, I think we are all beneficiaries of a rather stable electricity environment relatively to when we came into government in 2016, and we continue to 2017, and we continue to do our utmost to keep the lights on.
Mr. Minister, can I repeat my question if I didn't drive it home well? I asked if it is the case that you inherited this colossal bill that you're talking about.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we have had to be supporting over about $1 billion, and in the last estimate from the IMF, they are thinking that this energy overhang will be about $1.4 billion a year. That is part of the issues that we are discussing with the fund as to how best to manage that. But yes, it's been quite a difficult situation managing it over these 6 years. So we did inherit. I think you've asked the question enough times for me.
I'm wondering why Mr. Minister wouldn't want to directly confront the matter. But I thought you would have answered that we can take parliamentary notice of the fact that these debts were created before you came in. But if you are not comfortable discussing
they were created before we came.
Why is it taking you more than 5 minutes after 3 questions to answer that? I thought it was straightforward, wasn't it? I said diplomat, unlike you. Or maybe unlike it, he haven't. I see. Mr. Minister, I think you were sitting down and thinking, actually, Parliament does me considerable injustice. They should rather be applauding me. Is that what is on your mind?
Mr. Co-Chair, I'm not sure it's the applause so much as saddened by the weight or lack of weight of some of these questions and whether they truly, as a nation, warrant a finance minister's censure. When we go through issues of economic management, words like recklessness, incompetence, and this is the historic issue at a time in which there's global crisis, there's work to be done, the IMF negotiations are going on, there's labor discussions, there's a budget to be read, and there's difficulties in economic challenges. And so that is my worry as to where our nation state has got into. Where is a republic in all of this? And could this have been a discussion between myself and the Finance Committee or the Council of State to really show the degree of difficulty that the country is going in and the fierce urgency then to proceed to tackle it. But really to tackle it, as speaking one language as a people. Because what confronts us is not easy. It requires dedication, a prayerful outlook, a commitment to go forward, and an acknowledgement of our part in it, what external circumstances has meted on us. And truly, this time and effort for such a historic indictment in which we are not quite clear about these issues. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, our colleagues would also answer, but before, 1 second, before I just wrap up, just to put a record so we all know. Yesterday at 9 o'clock in the morning, I did hear British Sky News, Kay Bailey's breakfast show in the morning, actually discussed Ghana and said that they thought Ghana was doing fantastic. Quite how it all went pear-shaped, they weren't sure, but it's all because of the genius matters where we discussed, the COVID, the whatever.
Chairman, I invoke Order 197.
Which says what?
The deliberations of a committee shall be confined to the matter referred to it by the House, and any extension or limitations to it made by the House, and in the case of a committee on a bill, to the bill referred to it and relevant amendments. It is my contention that, respectfully, we are being sent on a wild goose chase on matters that are not before us.
What am I asking you to do on that chase? What am I asking you to do on that chase? I'm making a comment.
Co-Chair, I think that, because there's precious time, we have so many questions.
Wait a minute. Yes, you have your time to ask your questions. Nobody's going to hurry anybody up.
I don't see the relevance with this Sky News and all.
You may not see the relevance. I'm bringing it up to the whole nation to be aware that our issues have been the concern of other countries, and they've made sure that it's become a matter of public discussion.
To our mandate,
I'm not asking him to comment. I'm not asking, Chairman, go Chairman, let me finish. When I finish, you make your point. I'm not asking the Honorable Minister to comment on it one way or the other. I am telling the hearing, this committee, that it's a matter that has transpired somewhere. Public information. Well, it's absolutely relevant.
No.
I'm even
please, Honorable Ejapamensah, please. Please, Honorable Ejapamensah, please respect the chair.
Well, he's been recognized.
The chair has recognized me.
Well, the MPP chair has recognized you, right?
Because
yes, I'm the coach. I'm the co-chair. No, please. No, because you see, it's important. No.
Yeah. So rule on my point of order.
Right. And and I was going to say that is a germane issue that has been raised. Because we have to stay within the remit of the referral by Mr. Speaker, so that well, I don't know whether that was.
But I did. I predicated my statement by saying that other colleagues are going to make comments before I ran up. This is a matter that came up, and then I made the point. It wasn't for him to contribute to that. It wasn't for members.
I thought you were making the point to the minister, and that is why the honourable member came up.
Even if I did, but I didn't.
Exogenous matters.
But I did. But actually, I did it. So I don't see the basis of service objection. Can we?
Honourable Ejapamensah, please. You are out of order.
Yes,
you are out of order. Okay.
My comment is made.
All right.
Who is the person?
Yes, okay. I thought I would give the members the opportunity to ask their questions, but from the interaction.
You say NDC chairman. Are you MPP chairman? So this is not dichotomized. As MPP chairman, NDC chairman. That is.
Honorable Katie, you please. I said it in jest. So can we? Let's take it. Let's take it in that context. Okay.
You pasted your colors to the proceedings. Let's go on.
Okay. Honorable Minister, good morning again. The interaction between yourself and the Honorable Katie Hammond, my co-chair, with respect to Article 183 of the Constitution, in terms of the constitutional mandate of the Bank of Ghana, would seem to suggest that the issue of currency depreciation, the management of the stability of the national currency should be laid, at the doorsteps of the Bank of Ghana rather than the Ministry of Finance. Is that my understanding?
Mr. Co-Chair, I think your understanding is your understanding.
Well, okay, is my understanding correct?
I think we read the Act.
Well, portions of it. You read portions of it.
Yeah. So
but
I think
there are also other.
But what I mentioned specifically is that we work very, very closely together to make sure that we bring stability.
Right.
So that really should be the top line message that you take. As to what my oath is as Minister of Finance and what his responsibilities are, that really is not the subject. The issue for me as a Minister of Finance is the impact that the currency is having, of which I'm very, very concerned about, and doing everything I can to support any way to bring in resources, as we did with the Ofori-Atta Bank, to support that. As I mentioned, looking at investment in the rail sector to push that ahead. I don't think this is a time in the country of crisis where we sort of kick the ball to somebody else. With all the energies that we have, the resources we have, we team up, settle the wagons, and move on. And we've been doing that very well, very comfortable with that relationship.
So you would agree with me that there is a strong symbiotic relationship between fiscal and monetary policy, won't you?
It cannot be that there won't be. There has to be. I mean, I don't know what the line of questioning is leading to. Of course, I feel responsible.
Well, you would know in due course. Yes. So, if you were to exceed your borrowing limits in a manner that violates the Fiscal Responsibility Act, Don't you think that that should result in a vote of censure of the kind that we are looking at today?
Mr. Chairman, it was your choice to sign up to a censure which brought a conflict of interest issue on this. It was your choice to sign up to a censure on accounts at GMPC, which had nothing to do with me. It is your choice when you look at the gravity of where the nation is and whether you feel strongly, as you have indicated, that the finance minister should be censured for these original 7 grounds.
Very well. Honorable Minister, do you remember that on June 4th, 2021, you did come to Parliament to provide answers with respect to the energy sector payments to IPPs on the take-or-pay contracts? The question was specifically filed by the Honorable Alassane Sohini, MP for Tamale North. You remember that?
No, I have to, but June 4th is a date we all remember. I don't know specifically.
Not for the revolutionary upheaval that took place on that day. I'm talking about your answer to Parliament on this matter.
I'll have to be educated.
Okay, so the Hansard of that day captured you. You gave an answer that said that the payments totaled 937 million. Is that what translates into the 17 billion that you have just told this committee is the amount that you paid?
This is June
4th, 2021.
Okay. And this, we are June.
We are in November now, Minister, Honorable Minister.
We are now in November 2022.
Very well.
Yeah. So I'll have to recalculate those numbers to bring to you.
Yes, but you were specific in your answer. You said you made 17 billion cities. I think I heard cities.
So what you're talking about is...
Yes. No, I just want him to confirm if that is a figure that translates into 17 billion. Is that very difficult to do?
No, I can't confirm offhand, but I certainly will bring you the arithmetic of it.
You also said a lot about take-or-pay contracts that were signed during the Mahama administration, which resulted in the so-called energy sector debts. If you were an investor coming into an economy of this nature, would you build a power plant without a take-or-pay clause that mandates that if you don't take the power, you pay?
Mr. Chairman, is your co-chair seeking an opinion from the minister?
No, I'm not.
This is a rhetorical question, and you're seeking an opinion.
I'm laying the basis for.
If he were an investor.
Can I rephrase the question? I
think the Honorable Minister is capable of dealing with this matter. So let him. Let him. Minister, could you kindly just put the question again?
Mr. Co-Chair, honestly, we are in a crisis. I've been brought here for some very disparaging descriptions of who I am and my character and the management of this economy. I'm not here to speculate of what investors may think or not think at a certain point in time. As an investor, at any point in time, you try to take advantage of weaknesses, and depending on the strength of who is beside you, or across from you on the table, you take your pound of flesh. Now, we have gone into some of these contracts and truly are recalibrating what they are. So I can't want to be part of a whitewashing of events did not help us, and is part of the issue why I'm being censured.
Thank you. Has your government or the government of which you are a minister signed any energy sector contracts that contain take-or-pay clauses?
I'll have to really confirm on that. Yeah.
And you agree with me that take-or-pay clauses are essential in energy contracts?
There's also a reason why there's take and pay.
Right.
There are reasons why there are other methods of doing that, and that comes with the ability to negotiate. For example, in 2015 or so, the then government, did a $1 billion Eurobond issuance at 10.75%. But that even required a World Bank wraparound. We have subsequently done much more with lower rates. I think it's an issue of maybe competence or an understanding of how to negotiate. I think we'll be chasing our tail if we go along this line.
Okay. I will give members the opportunity to take their turn, and then I will come back. So, Honorable Samo Kujeto Ablakwa, Honorable Minister, will deal with the grounds separately. So, there will be a round of questions relating to ground 2 on the National Cathedral, and when all members have taken their turn, we'll now come to ground 4 and 5, and in that order.
That's strictly speaking the approach. No, wait a minute. Wait. Yes, okay. Yes, it's your turn. Go.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I will come to the National Cathedral in a minute. The Honorable Finance Minister has raised some issues with language which he appears uncomfortable with. I want to place on record that same day, on the 10th of November 1999, I have the Hansard here, Wednesday, 10th November 1999. Then Dr. Kunedu Apreku, Nana Akufo-Addo, J.H. Mensah, and others filed a motion against your predecessor, Finance Minister Kwame Pepra. And if you look at column 977, they use similar words. Quote, the NDC government and Minister of Finance in particular had demonstrated absolute incompetence. They didn't say only incompetence. Absolute incompetence and gross negligence in ignoring sound and credible advice, unquote. If you come to column 983 of the same Hansard, they said, quote, anywhere else, such mismanagement is enough for people to stand back and say, we have done our part. We have come to the end of the road. We have gone full cycle. We took the reins of this country when we thought there was a crisis. We have come all the way and put it back in a crisis. This is the time to leave. And if the president cannot leave because of a constitutional mandate, we want the minister to begin the process of leaving now, and will continue in the year 2000, unquote.
Sorry, what is that point supposed to be clarified?
The finance minister is raising issue with the language of the motion, and I want him to understand that it's consistent with the practice in this house.
How could it be consistent? So that was raised at the time.
This is 1999.
1999. Nothing was wrong with that.
10th November 1999.
Say whatever there is. That's the point.
The minister himself, on the 12th of March 2013, he is on record at the William Ofori-Atta Institute for Integrity Lectures to have actually called for a coup. Nothing can be more stronger than that. So I don't think we'll be taking lectures on language from the minister.
What did he say exactly? Let's hear what he said, please.
He said, March 12, 2013, the country's silence on the election petition could trigger a coup, unquote. He was speaking at the William Ofori-Atta Institute for Integrity Lectures. So it's available online. It was reported by Ghana Web.
No.
It's a preliminary. It's a preliminary comment on language. He appears to want to lecture us on language, I thought that we should place these matters in proper perspective.
Tommy, turn it off for the time. Yeah. No, he would do his point of order, but this is so fundamental a statement that I think until we're able to verify the fact that it was actually spoken, we would not admit it in the evidence. So we want it expunged for the time being. If we're able to get that's why. Can we have a look?
Mr. Chairman, this is not the time to be looking at information on phones. So if you can print it out to members.
No, you can't. Well, just bear with us. No, let's do it. There's something about Imani Ghana. What you shown me is about Imani Ghana, talking about, and then retired captain. Listen, I think we should expunge this from Mr. Co-Chairman. Let's expunge this. We can discuss this later, and let's get on. Well, I've read something. It doesn't correspond to what exactly you said.
Okay, yes, we will examine it, subsequently and determine whether or not it goes into our records.
For now, it's expunged. It's expunged from the record.
Hansard office maintain it until we have examined it.
Can we?
Yeah, I mean, these are matters of public record. So,
we'll come to you in a minute. We haven't come to you yet. The chair is confirmed. I still maintain that because of the nature of the statement, let's expunge it for the time being, and then if we get the printout and we verify we're happy with it, we will know what to do. Yeah.
Okay.
So go.
Hansard office, take note.
Well, thank you very much.
I think the Honorable Yimedu was raising a point of order. What order are you coming
I'm only pleading with you, the coaches, that the whole Ghana is looking at us.
Yes.
And therefore, I entreat you that some comments should not be entertained at all. This statement that Honorable...
Well, are you revisiting the statement to the hearing of the whole world?
Well, it's been expunged, so let's go on.
Okay.
But I'm saying it for this to guide us, because you make a statement that a statement has been made in the Hansard. This statement was not made by the Honorable Minister. So how do you use it against him?
Very well. The point is well noted, right. Honorable Ayimini.
Thank you.
Yes.
Honorable co-chairs, I will begin my substantive questions on the National Cathedral matter. I note from the Honorable Minister's response that he appears to set his own parameters and proceeds to answer them. He says at page 6, item number 12, Honorable co-chairs, 3 days ago, when the proponents were here, they alleged that I had made payments from the contingency fund to support the National Cathedral. I want to state that this is just not true. Let me be categorical. I have not taken no money from the contingency fund to make payments for the National Cathedral. He proceeds, paragraph 13. It appears the proponents have confused the contingency fund with a contingency vote. Let me explain. there is a difference between contingency fund and contingency vote. Co-chairs have been going through the verbatim report, the official transcripts of the proceedings of that day, because I didn't hear the proponent say this. And so when I went through the verbatim report at page 29 of 165, and honorable members can refer to the verbatim report, page 29. The Honorable Haruna Idrisu, he says, and I quote verbatim, "I would like to start with the National Cathedral. Ghana is a much respected religious country where there is coexistence between both Muslims and Christians alike. Nobody is against the president promising and honoring God with a cathedral for the expression of the Christian faith. But when public resources are used for that purpose, it needs us to call into question. I just gave the clerk to the committee a warrant signed by the Honorable Minister for Finance for some amount for the cathedral, and that is what you are holding. I will tender it in evidence and say that we are aware that by warrant signed by Honorable Ofori-Atta, Minister, 29th October 2022, and an expenditure of 142,762,500 Ghana cedis was allocated for the construction of the cathedral. We want to know when parliamentary approval was granted for this purpose. And then also, I refer to the Auditor General's report. I will just pick two and yield to Honorable Atuforsen, unquote. Nowhere in this verbatim report did the proponents say that money was taken from the contingency vote or contingency fund. Indeed, if you look at the grounds, Honorable Co-Chairs, it's very clear, and I'm surprised that the Honorable Finance Minister circumvents around the very clear grounds provided in this motion. It says, and I read, unconstitutional withdrawals from the consolidated fund in blatant contravention of Article 178 of the 1992 Constitution, supposedly for the construction of the President's Cathedral, unquote. That is the ground. So I want to find out from the Honorable Minister where this matter of contingency fund and contingency vote is coming from, because we don't see that in the verbatim report.
Honorable Minister, did you listen to the question?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I surely did. That's what I'm...
Very well. So can you answer the question?
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, the question here seems to suggest that there was unconstitutional withdrawals from the consolidated fund. So I went on to define the two different funds in which one might make a mistake, and made it very clear that A, we did not go through the contingency fund, and that we went through the contingency vote. So, I mean, I think that puts the issue of constitutional illegality.
Mr. Minister, 1 second. You say we are not all quite conversant with some of these economic terminologies. Maybe that is also conflicting the issues for even the committee member. So what are you saying? There is a distinction, and if there is, please clarify. There's a distinction between what is here, clearly written here, consolidated fund, and then the consolidated vote. Is that what you're saying? Contingency vote. 1 second, Sammy, 1 second, Sammy, 1 second. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but I think, Co-Chair, what the Honorable MP is suggesting, that there was no mention of contingency vote and or contingency fund, and so I have answered
in the
question.
Let's look at it again. It says specifically the withdrawals 2 items here. There were actually 3 items. There were withdrawals. 1, 2, from the contingency fund. Forgive me. If you talk in unison, we're going to be all confused. Consolidated fund, 2. And then the third one is the constitutionality or otherwise of it. So you have the consolidated fund here, and then you have the unconstitutional element attached to it. You seem to be drawing a distinction between the consolidated fund and then a third one, a second one, which is what?
The contingency vote.
The contingency vote. So let's see if let's get it right. Happy for your technical people, because that's why they are running. If there's any issue that the technicals can help, we have no difficulty at all.
Mr. Co-Chair, I mean, it was important that we made that distinction, and essentially what Honorable is saying, that it's unconstitutional to have withdrawn proceeds from the consolidated fund. And I was making it clear that whatever money comes from the consolidated fund goes into a number of items. That could be anything. And in the consolidated vote, maybe resources that we go into consolidated contingency vote, where we go through our contingency fund, which we did not use. And so that really is my line of discussion. If it was in his mind inaccurate, at least I have confirmed how we got those resources and used them.
Our colleague Honorable Boama, I think, has some clarification.
Honorable Minister, the question, the proponents on 3 are alleging that you made some unconstitutional withdrawals from the consolidated fund. Yes. Have you made those withdrawals? Simple.
No.
The Honorable Finance Minister has just said in response to Honorable Patrick Boama's follow-up question that he has not made any such withdrawals. Is that my understanding?
Mr. Blakwa, I said unconstitutional. Please, for the avoidance of doubt, please.
So, if it is constitutional, can the Honorable Finance Minister let us know when he received parliamentary approval for the said withdrawals? I have 2 withdrawal warrants here, 29th October 2020 and 31st March 2022. Do you have any parliamentary approval to proceed with these withdrawals in the 2020 budget and in the 2022 budget? In 2020, you withdrew 142.7 million. In 2022, you issued instructions to the Controller Accountant General to withdraw 25 million. I've gone through the 2020 budget, the appropriation. I've gone through the 2022 budget, the appropriation. There are no such approvals. So if you contend that they are not unconstitutional, can you help us with the basis for that contention?
Thank you very much. I get quite nervous about the level of passion on the construction of the cathedral. We certainly did receive parliamentary approval for whatever we do with our contingency vote. And that is what I went through to do that.
Can you please help us with evidence of that approval?
Of the approval of the budget?
How did you get the approval you refer to?
and the other government obligations?
I have looked at the...
And I believe I have the liberty at that point.
Even if you come under, it is really shocking that such a major project will be treated as a contingency. It's shocking. All my 12 years in this house, I've never seen this.
Let's get something right. Yeah, you said that it is shocking. Wait. Sorry, colleagues, let's get this right. Is it, I think we are dealing with the constitutionality or otherwise of the issue. Your emotions don't come in. Whether it's shocking, it really doesn't come in. Is it constitutional or it's not constitutional? Let's deal with that, please.
Well, it is Honorable Co-Chair, if the expenditure was incurred without conforming with the constitutional procedures, such as getting parliamentary approval for the expenditure, all right, even under the Public Financial Management Act, that will be expenditure in excess of appropriation. And therefore, the finance minister would have even breached the statute. So the question of constitutionality is not here about, the interpretation. It is about compliance with the constitutional procedures for the expenditure of public resources. And this committee and parliament can delve into the constitutionality or otherwise of actions taken by the finance minister with respect to the expenditure of public resources. And I think that is where the honorable member is coming from.
No, but so one second, no, where I put clear to the minister, we'll come to it. Where I put to the minister did indicate the source of the money. Other government obligations. Is that what he said? Other government obligations. The point then was that, is that unconstitutional?
Well, Mr.
So that's asking my colleague,
yes,
person who asked the question to address his mic.
Honorable KT Hammond, yeah.
Sami, you can go on.
Honorable Co-Chairs, I hold in my hands the appropriation bills for the respective years. I also have the reports on Office of Government Machinery for the years in issue, 2020 and 2022. Nowhere in their reports to Parliament, when they accounted for expenditure in those years, did they report to the House? Can the Honorable Minister for Finance tell us why that happened? Because the practice is, even if you come under contingency, you must report to the Finance Committee as you seek approval for the ensuing year. Why was Parliament kept in the dark all these years?
Yes.
We are seeking leave for the honorable member to furnish us with the document that he is holding so that we can appropriately respond to the question. Because for me, the problem is with the use of the word in the motion, unconstitutional withdrawals.
Very well.
Now, the only institution that can determine that any act pursuant to the Constitution is unconstitutional is the Supreme Court. Well, so if he used the word unlawful withdrawal, then the onus and the burden of persuasion is on him to show us how that withdrawal is unlawful. The minister has already explained that there was an appropriation, and then the payments were made out of the contingency vote. as part of the appropriation for other government business
obligations.
I don't see how that is unconstitutional. And if the honorable member has a contrary procedure, which in his view is the lawful procedure, then he must show us.
Very well. What the honorable member